Gen Z does not have the mindset to have children. We saw that. I was playing guitar earlier and left the pick in my mouth again. Um, Gen Z simply does not have the mindset to have children. And I say this because when you listen to what Gen Z people say about, their own personal beliefs about the world, their own personal view of the opposite sex, their own way they see children that aren't even theirs, the inability to sacrifice one's time and one's energy for something for another person. Gen Z people have completely lack all these qualities. I mean, I'm a Gen Z dude. I'm 21. Just shaved my head and my face. Um, so I probably look younger, but we completely, as a generation, lack the foresight to make input for people who are not us. Go talk to the average person who's in Gen Z, right? I remember saying I used to have a couple friends who were women, and I still work with them, but I don't talk to them. And we were out one time. We were at the rock climbing place, and we were taking a break in between, rock climbing. We're sitting at this table. We're talking, and I'm talking about somehow we got to the topic of children, of having a family and a wife for them husbands, and for the other one, a wife because she was a lesbian. And I was saying, one day I'd really like to have children. I don't know how we got on the topic, but the straight one said, I don't want kids because I don't want to ruin my body. And I don't know where this idea has come from, that it even ruins your body. I mean, my mother was, I hate talking about my mom. I really do. If you guys don't know, she's passed. I love my mom so much. I loved her so much. Um, but after my birth, my mom was 37, 37 or 36 when I was born. That is a bit older to be having a child. Um, but is what it is, and she was perfectly fine. She never had any type of medical complications. In fact, she wanted another child. So I was supposed to have a brother or sister. She didn't do that because she wanted to lose weight. And, by the time I was about 13, 14, she was diagnosed with cancer. So it was definitely not happening by that point. By then she would have been 40, 47? Something like that, 45 by that time, which by that time you probably shouldn't be trying to have kids anyway. But to the point is, my mom and dad were so ready to make sacrifices for each other and for me, their son. And when you talk to Gen Z people, there is no willingness to do any of that. Even the bare minimum of, hey, can you hold the door for me? Even that stuff. People don't want to even do that stuff. Excuse me. Or hey, can you give me a ride somewhere? Now, I've always made it a point that I don't give people rides. I don't do it anymore. Because you give a guy a ride one time, he thinks you're his fucking professional. You're his personal taxi cab driver. And that behavior is gross. You're using me. But I'm saying, so many people get together in Generation Z, like as a couple, as dating, and there's just this underlying level of distrust, like the whole time. Like the whole time, one person they want to get something from the other person, while giving them the least amount possible in return. For example, my ex-girlfriend, I'm not even making this up to you. She wanted me to have sex with her all the time. all the time, very early in the relationship, all the time. And a lot of guys would be like, yeah, that's great, I want that. But that's all we had was the sex. We were only with each other because we wanted to have sex with each other. And that's a really bad reason to be with somebody. I am not a perfect dude either. I stayed with her because I wanted to have more sex with her. I mean, this was also several years ago. This was like going on 4 years ago. So I would never do this shit again. In fact, I'm at the point in my life where I'm not even that into sex right now. Possibly because I've been cutting out the pornography in my life and the sexual influence in my life, and I'm not exposed to it as like I used to be. You know, if another bit of background, I was exposed to pornography when I was 11 years old, and that stuff does warp your sense of sexual perception, and it's not good. So that's probably why I cut it out, and now I don't really feel that way towards the idea of sex. Like, it's cool, yeah, but I'm not like crazy about it, right? I'd rather have like, see, this is how I feel men view the equation. Is men would rather date a woman who's lower on the look scale. You know, I mean, some people hate the look scale, but men would rather date a woman who is less conventionally attractive, but it would be a really good mother, than a woman who is highly conventionally attractive and would be a bad mother. So men will date women that society deems unattractive, but they're good mothers. They would be good mothers. And men, as they get older, are more comfortable with doing that. You know, in high school, when you're there, you're like, I would never date a fat chick, or I would never date this, that, and the third. I don't really care. As long as she's not like severely overweight, I'd date a chubby girl. Especially if she wants to have kids at some point, and especially if she's a Christian and she wants to, you know, have children with me, and she wants to go, you know, and if we're made for each other, we're good and compatible. That's great, right? That's why I feel like a lot of dudes will do that as they get older, but a lot of dudes don't have the foresight to understand that that's going to happen to them, where they'll be like, yeah, I'll date somebody who's not super hot, but I love them for who they are, for who she is as a guy. And a lot of women, I think, they do the same thing, but the problem is, on average now, most women in Generation Z don't want to have kids. And since they don't want to have kids, this creates this kind of like double think or cognitive dissonance, where women want men who would be good fathers, but they have zero interest in having children, so that part of the equation gets completely pushed out. Because if you want a man but you don't want kids, his fatherly tendencies don't matter, right? Just how if you're I might have said that backwards, I already lost track. If you're a man and you want kids, a woman's motherly tendencies matter to you. But if you're a man and you don't want kids, the motherly tendencies of the woman don't matter. Same thing for women. If a woman wants a man but she wants kids in the future, his fatherly tendencies will matter. But if she doesn't want kids, the fatherly tendencies don't mean anything. That's what I'm getting at here. So there's that, and like I said, there's the want to get as much possible from the partner without giving barely anything in return. That's very common, and that's not good either. So we're all looking at this equation and going, this isn't adding up, right? At least in my perspective. I'm looking at this equation and I'm like, there's no real answer to this. And I hate making videos where there's no answer to the topic at hand. There's no real answer to why are men and women having so many problems. There's many answers, yes, but I mean, all of which YouTube doesn't like it when you talk about them. The provider role has almost no point in existing anymore, because women make their own money, and in fact most women are out earning men because of career discrepancies and possibly DEI hiring, and who even knows? I'm not saying that all women who are in a high position of authority or have really good jobs are all DEI hires, but I'm saying women have been prioritized in the workplace over men. Most of my coworkers are women, and I work at an entry level job. I work at the gas station. Few of my coworkers are men, and in fact, I would say most of the men have less drive and have less push to get the work done than the women do. I work with a guy who has been coming to work every day, and he only works for 5 hours. So if I'm working 5 hours personally, I'm not going to say I'm going to go start killing myself at the job, but I'm going to work hard in those 5 hours. I'm not even working a full shift, and I'm not even getting a break. I might go use the bathroom once for my break, but that's about it, right? The women at these jobs nowadays seem to be kind of in higher positions of authority, one, and two, have a higher desire to work. It feels like men are being replaced by women in a lot of these places, and that leaves men to go and kind of distraught, be in a state of dismay, because they're getting replaced by what is literally the weaker sex. I mean, naturally, it's not a sexist claim to say that women are not as strong as men, but when men get put to shame by women, it kind of makes the balls shrink. I don't know how to put it any other way. It makes a man feel emasculated when a man is put in place or kept in line by a woman. And I mean, these are why no one's having kids, though, also. Because if the man is feminine and the woman is masculine, there will be no family dynamic. The family dynamic is completely fucked. It's backwards. So when I say they, I mean, I don't know, the people's in power, the positions in government, whoever. The people who want the world to stop functioning as it has been functioning for thousands of years want the women to be masculine and the men to be feminine. And this is why we're having issues. Most men I've met are extremely feminine. And we're also at the point where somebody said once, I think he was joking, but it sounds true. It sounds like something that would happen in reality. He said, most women would rather date a femboy than a traditional man in 2026. Because the man, as the femboy in this scenario, is essentially a woman. He behaves like a woman, he acts like a woman, he dresses like a woman. He sounds like a woman. I don't know if I said that already. Has probably a feminine, the whole appearance is feminine. And the women are getting more masculine. The women are going to the gym more. They're wanting to put on muscle. They're wanting to wear suits. They're wanting to wear, masculine clothing. They like all this masculine shit now. They like watching sports and football and drinking beer, smoking. Most women I've met who are like above the age of 25 smoke cigarettes. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not saying women can't do those things. They can't smoke. They can't, do that shit. Women are getting shorter haircuts now. We're living in a strange time. But anyway, the woman would rather date this femboy because the women have also not secretly, but subconsciously being told to be more masculine and more dominant, even in like romantic settings where you're hearing a lot of guys. Like I was watching this one guy, I don't know what his channel is. I think it's called like Manlet Maxing or Defeated Manlet or Doomer Manlet, something like that. He's some really short guy. He's like 5'3", and he was saying that he's extremely attracted to very tall and dominant women. And he looks masculine though for like a dude. Like he looks like a masculine man. Like how, like this is why anyway, we'll talk about the manly guy first. That he was saying that he only really feels attraction at any level towards women if they're much taller than him. And they can physically dominate him and overpower him. He's 5'3", and this girl he was wanting to go after, who was working at this coffee shop, she was 6 foot something, 6'2", 6'3", what have you. And this shows you the inversion of society, where the man wants to be dominated and the woman wants to dominate the man. So this shows you how, again, in a way, they're not having kids because the roles are completely reversed when the man is dominating sexually. Now, I'm not saying you can't have these preferences or fetishes, but when the man is dominating sexually, that creates this kind of mindset of like breeding, of having children, right? Because the man has to do his part, right? And even in these weird dominatrix things where the man is the bottom, he might not even get stimulation in the normal places because people are so whacked out sexually now. I mean, I really do think everyone needs to stop touching themselves, and everyone needs to go outside more, touch some grass, even just do things that don't involve sexual stimuli, right? Like, just go play like a game that doesn't really have a plot, and you just kind of do, it's like high octane action. You're just driving everywhere, you're just blasting people, whatever it is. So go play like Call of Duty or Gears of War or Halo or something. Go and do that stuff. Go home when you come off of work. I'm being so serious. Go home and play that shit, and you'll start feeling more normal. Because everything you feed into your brain is essentially a drug, right? So I know this video is kind of everywhere. I don't really care anymore. I'm just doing this before I have to go to work. And this is what I do before I have to go to work to keep my mind off of sexual shit. The desire to do that all the time creates a thought loop, essentially. And I know I've been talking about 12 Monkeys a lot, but your life turns into 12 Monkeys. 1996 plague virus. Your life turns into that movie when you have an addiction, right? It's a closed loop. You can't escape this loop because you keep feeding into the problem, right? If you've never seen that movie, they send Bruce Willis back in time to avert this deadly virus. And him being sent back in time is what causes the deadly virus to a degree. Because he gets put in the mental institution and he gets put on a bunch of, drugs, and he's not mentally himself. So he starts talking to the Brad Pitt character, Jeffrey Goins, about maybe we really should create this virus and get rid of everybody so that the humans, or no, excuse me, the animals can rule the earth. That's essentially what happens in 2035, where he's from, in the future, the present to him, the future to 96. Your life becomes this closed loop, and what happens in this movie is the time loop is indefinite because he sees himself as a child in the airport. In the airport, the child sees him in the future, but he doesn't know it's him. So he has to complete this loop constantly, indefinitely. He's always going back in time, and he's always going back to the future, back to the present in 2035. He's always doing that because it's a time loop. It's a time paradox, right? So having an addiction is really a time paradox because you engage in it. It's literally a cycle. I'm so serious with you. Like, this movie, like, kind of changed my entire worldview on this cycle, right? You see the stimuli, you entertain the stimuli, you engage in it, and then you reach your high, and then you come back down. And you do that every day. That's the problem here. That's why I said people are getting such warped ideas of sexuality and what sex looks like because they've engaged in way too much material. People say that, people have, the pornography just opens the door. It doesn't create this weird sexual desire. It opens the door and it makes you understand your own bizarre sexual desire that you've had your whole life and you just never knew about. I find that to be complete bullshit. I don't know who came up with that one, but they're fucking idiots. I've never thought of certain things until I started watching this shit. And when I started watching this shit, There's things I wish I could completely unsee. And like James Cole, the Bruce Willis character in that movie, I have an eidetic memory, which means I can recall things very easily. It's not photorealistic, but sometimes it can be, and it really fucking sucks because I've seen so many, disturbed things in pornography, and I've seen so many disturbed things in, certain media and, violence. There's so many things I wish I could just unsee, but my brain does not operate that way. It holds on to information like a fucking sponge to water, and it sucks. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're anything like me, you have to entirely get this stuff out of your life so you can actually have a normal sexual and romantic relationship with a person that you want to have it with, because you're subconsciously subjecting yourself to these weird things you see in the pornography, and you want to invite that stuff into your lives, or you're living a double life, and your girlfriend is weirded out by you because you constantly run off to go watch pornography, but that's not what you're telling her, but she knows what you're doing. I'm not saying I've done this, but it happens, and everyone knows that everyone's watching porn. If everyone would quit watching porn, it would be something stigmatized, and people would stop fucking watching it and being so into this weird sexually depraved shit. I mean, that's just the way it goes now. Everyone watches some weirdo shit. Do you think anybody in the state of fucking human history would have ever gotten attracted to Blueberry if Willy Wonka didn't come out? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the scene where that girl blows up like a fucking blueberry. That is a thing people masturbate to. That's what I'm saying to you. Like, the perception of what is sexual is so far gone to certain people. There's what they believe is sexual and what gets them going is so far removed from reality that they can't even experience a normal, healthy sexual relationship with another human being, because their sexual fetish is something that does not exist in reality. You can't replicate that blueberry shit in real life. That's something I saw when I was like 10, and I thought it was weird. I thought it was disturbing because it was bizarre. And then people started making pornography of it, and it's like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Like, we're so far out of left field of what some people are watching, and what some people are watching is so bizarre that, like I said, they can't even have normal intercourse with people because it's so far removed from reality that reality doesn't feel normal anymore. And that's why people don't have kids, because their sexual fetish does not exist in the real world, so they don't even attempt to get with a real person because they can't replicate the thing that they get off to. Good Lord. We are in a strange time. In a bizarre time. We are in strange days. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what to even say, because everything is so bizarre regarding this information. And when you talk about it, people act like it's not weird, or they act like it's normal to be masturbating to fucking furries and, all this weird shit. It's not normal to think cartoon animals are hot. It's not normal to watch Fuda. That Synthetic Man watches that stuff, and he's talked about it on stream, and it's like, if internet pornography wasn't so widespread and so available to everyone, these things wouldn't be plaguing certain people's minds. I've never been into any really extreme shit, thank fucking God. And I just quit watching, and I have a normal sex drive. I get attracted to actual real women in the real world. You have guys walking around their day to day, and they don't even experience attraction to women because they've been masturbating since they were fucking 10 years old. And that kind of happened to me for a while. There was a time where I didn't find any women attractive. And even then, when you quit this stuff, it fucks up your libido because you've been experiencing sexual stimulation since every day since you were 11 or 10. And now you're 21. So for me, that's 10 years. And it really fucks you up because now you're not experiencing that stimulation anymore. It became to a degree for a lot of people, for even myself to a point, just a way to control my reality, because it's like, look, I'm going to work, I'm not fucking up at work, I've always been good at work, but I'm saying there's certain people who go to work and they're like, man, I work a really fucking hard job and I can't control this shit, and I'm fucking, I don't know, I'm gaining weight and I'm getting fat, hypothetically, for these people, or my car's totaled and I can't drive it anywhere, and it's like the only thing you can control is just watching pornography. And that's where these problems develop, because if it's the only thing you can control, you'll just do it every fucking day. So, I mean, every one of my videos ends up turning into some type of video like this, where I'll be talking about something and it's not exactly related, but this is related in my opinion. Men and women kind of don't want to be with each other because their sexual roles have been completely flipped, and that's naturally that's not natural. Okay, that's a thing that's not supposed to happen. So it's happened, and then the sex drive is up, but the way that they perform, the men and women perform for each other in the way to sexually gratify the other person is naturally it's in disarray. So it doesn't make sense anymore. You know, the man wants to get pegged and the woman doesn't. The woman wants to be crushed, you know, or vice versa. You know, it's weird. It's weird how the woman wants to be choked. I've heard so many times women just say in passing that they like being choked and shit. And it's like, what the fuck? You don't say that to people out loud. Like, what is wrong with you? And I'm not even trying to listen. I'm just at work or I'm in passing at the store, and some woman is talking to her girlfriend in the fucking Walmart beauty section. I was looking for a facial scrubber, and this woman was talking about how she likes to be choked. What the fuck is going on, dude? Like, I don't even I don't even know what to even say at this point. It's insane. Everyone's so fucking backwards. And I think that to get out of the problem, we need to all just stop watching this shit as a collective and move on. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching.